So this year for the 2011 NHL trade deadline, I thought I'd try something different. Rather than have everything spread out over the whole day, I'm just going to find out all the trades at once after the deadline is passed. So I got Hat Guy to write all the trades down. What up? So let's start. Trade number 1. Okay, this is interesting. John Mitchell traded to the New York Rangers for a 7th round pick in 2012. A couple things to note about this trade. 1, not bad that the Leafs were able to get something for John Mitchell, seeing as he just cleared waivers. And number 2, round 7 is the last round in the draft, which means if the Mayans were right, this could be the last draft pick the Leafs ever make. What? Once upon a time, John Mitchell was the best player on the Toronto Marlies in their deep playoff run, and then he got a job with the Leafs. Things haven't really worked out, so after a few years, he was with the Marlies again. So it's good to see him get another chance, and hopefully he does well in New York. Okay, Hat Guy, trade number 2.
Leaf trade number 2 for you, sir.
Thank you very much, sir. This one's a winner. The Leafs trade. There's nothing on this.
I know, that was the only trade.
The only Leaf trade.
Correct.
So they had a press conference because Brian Burke traded John Mitchell for a 7th round draft pick.
Well, I never really thought of it like that, but yeah, I guess you're right.
Huh, okie dokie then. The Toronto Maple Leafs and Brian Burke stand basically pat on what they got. One minor deal. And the moves that followed were the best moves the Leafs could have made. None. Spoke to a pro scout before the draft. You can read that whole interview in the underbar, but basically what he said is the Leafs probably not going to make any moves. The draft is probably a different story. The Leafs have those 2 first-rounders from Boston and Philly, and they seem to have stocked up on some later picks too. That's when some moves can happen. And if you look at the Leafs and say, well, they didn't make any moves at the deadline, then you weren't watching the rest of the month. Boschman for Lupul, Gardner, and a pick. Caberlet for Colborne, a first, and potentially another pick. All happening in the month of February. Some people wanted the Leafs to get something to help push them into the playoffs. This is my 4th season making videos, and I hadn't made a Leaf playoff video yet. I want them to make the playoffs, but that wouldn't be the right move. Still hoping for them to make the playoffs, but I'm glad they didn't give up something to try to do it. So I pose the question to you guys, what do you think of the Leafs' action or inaction on trade deadline day? And 2, what about the action or inaction around the rest of the league? Who had the best trade and who had the worst? For example, trade I'm looking at, that's Penner to the Kings. The Kings get the big scoring forward that they desperately needed, but wow, did they pay a lot. Colton Tubert, a first, and a conditional pick. I didn't know Dustin Penner was that good.
Why are we whispering?
So that's the end of this video. Leave a video response or a text comment. What'd you think?